This segment of the news is brought to you by Journey to Recovery. Take the first step. Call 775-382-1072.
What's the difference between a cold and a flu? Healthcare Partners, Dr. Andraki explains.
You get chopped up pieces of the virus and your body will make an immune response to it. So it takes a period of time. It's not going to work immediately. It takes some time. So that's why you suggest people starting to get flu shots when they're available, generally in September or October, to make sure that you have this immunity. But if you got one today, we'd say that is better than if you didn't get one at all. But you should get it at least 6 weeks before we would anticipate getting the flu, if we could do that.
Let's talk locally about what's been going around town, because some people are having the extreme coughing. We've seen just even here up at the station different types of colds or flus going around where they're getting them one after the other. Are those all different? And if you've had them before, will you get that type of flu again?
Very interesting question. Once again, there's a simple answer, and the answer is yes. And the more complicated answer is that all these come under the umbrella of what's called an upper respiratory infection. That could be eye itching, eye redness, runny nose, sore throat, coughing. That's an upper respiratory infection. Those can be caused by viruses and occasionally bacteria, mostly viruses. And we have the common cold, which is a separate type of virus. That's going to produce these symptoms. And generally, you're going to be sick, and you could have coughing up to 4 or 6 weeks longer. Generally, you don't have a high fever, and generally, you just tolerating this. Influenza is a specific type of virus, and this is the one that we're trying to protect against. We don't have good vaccines for the common cold. There's just too many of them. But for the influenza vaccine, we have something that is going to hopefully produce immunity for specific types of influenzas. Now, influenza produces similar type of symptoms. You can start with eyes running, redness, runny nose, a sore throat, a bad sore throat, and a cough. But the difference typically is the influenza progresses as a worse and worse symptom, and almost always is accompanied by fever. So sometimes it's hard for us to determine if is it a common cold or is it influenza. We have a test that we can do sometimes in the office to help determine this, and unfortunately we don't have really good therapies for influenza. So it's good to be seen and to assess that you're not having any serious reactions. Antibiotics don't work, for instance. Amoxicillin isn't going to make any difference. Azithromycin or Z-Pak is not going to make any difference. So we treat that symptomatically, but we keep a more careful eye on you if you do have influenza, because it can get out of control, cause a lot of congestion in the lungs, cause a pneumonia in the lungs, and cause severe problems with breathing and with other body functions that can lead to death.
Well, the IRS is open for business. Angela Miles reports.
Topping our news, it's tax time. Starting today, the IRS is accepting tax returns. The deadline this year is April 17th. The president's changes to the tax code won't apply to 2017 tax filings, but by February, American worker paychecks could see a bump up because of the new tax law. Major manufacturer Honeywell plans to boost its employee 401k match now that corporations are paying less in taxes. Honeywell has been holding at least $7 billion overseas to shelter its profits. The industrial giant produces a number of items, including jet engines and thermostats. A troubling report by the Wall Street Journal involving Wynn Resorts casinos. The stock dropped after the Journal reported accusations of inappropriate behavior with women by billionaire Steve Wynn, who's the CEO of the casinos. He denies the allegations.
Thanks, Angela. The Nye County Sheriff's Office says that Floyd Elementary School here in Pahrump was temporarily locked down for a custodial issue this morning. The non-custodial father was allegedly at the school attempting to pick up his child. Nye County Sheriff's Office deputies responded and the male left prior to their arrival. The school lifted the lockdown and the Sheriff's Office deputies eventually made contact with that male. We'll tell you about the planned arrest that occurred over the weekend at the Nevada National Security Site after this break.